Whether you're working for someone or you're starting your own business, people are going to be involved. You're going to have to solve people's problems. So if you learn how to interact, and I think that's what has helped me just from conversations, relationship building, is that I've been around people for years. So now whenever I'm speaking to people, I feel like I've been in situations before. I've been in awkward situations and know how to kind of smooth things out. And that's just super important.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Walk to Wealth podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do yourself one teeny tiny little favor and make sure to give us a follow because I don't want you to miss out on any of the amazing guests I got coming on. Without further ado, I got a special one. This guy I was able to meet at FinCon, and for a lot of people that are scared to go to conferences, scared to invest in themselves, it's like you're missing out on the amazing people you could potentially meet. And so I highly recommend it. But without further ado, man, Hassan, tell us your elevator pitch. Who are you and what do you do for the people who haven't had the opportunity and the pleasure to get to meet you yet?
For sure, brother. For sure, brother. So my name is Hassan Thomas. I keep it short and sweet because I want to get right into the gems, providing value for everybody. But like I said, my name is Hassan Thomas. I'm the CEO and founder of FYI Fly. I'm a financial literacy speaker, author, podcaster. Got into the game in 2020 when it went from college to COVID, then started my podcast. Last year, we won Podcast of the Year at the Southern Entertainment Awards. This year, my book From College to COVID to Recession hit #1 on teen and economic finance on Amazon.
Yeah,
Started really speaking this year, so I'm just ready to rock and provide as much value for everybody listening, bro.
that's what's up. And before everything that you got popping off now, man, take us back in a time machine, man. What was little Hassan like growing up? Were you the typical entrepreneur or what were you like growing up, man? Where does it all come from?
For sure, for sure. So I was literally a football player. I had football dreams just like a lot, just like we probably both did. Well, I know we both did. Started with the football, man. My dad played football at Marshall, and that's really where I wanted. That's where I saw my life going, as being a football player. But also, I was very business minded, business oriented, just from the things that I saw and just from the stories that my mom told me as a kid. I remember we moved to Texas. It was just me and my mom when I was 4, and I was taking a train. So now I'm like, I would say I'm about 8, and then it's the summer, and I'm taking a train to Florida to meet the rest of my family for like a summer vacation. And we're taking this trip, and it's like a 26-hour train ride to Florida. So me, and this is how I knew I was like business oriented from the story that my mom told me. She said I literally planned out how many hours I was gonna play on my PSP. Hopefully y'all remember PSP, but if you don't, it's like a portable PlayStation. So it's like kind of like a Game Boy, but a PSP.
Yeah.
So I planned out how many hours I would play on my PSP, and then I mapped and diversified how many movies I would watch on my portable DVD player. So when my mom told me that story, bro, I was like, okay, maybe I was born for this business stuff.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. I honestly I haven't even heard of a PSP in so long. I almost forgot they existed, bro. I ain't have one. I had for me growing up, my first was I had a Game Boy, and then from
Hmm.
there upgraded to the GameCube. From there I
Yeah.
upgraded to the Wii, and then my boy they had like the PS1, PS2, PS3. From the
Hmm.
Wii though, I went to Xbox 360, and then I ended up
Okay.
getting the Xbox One. And then when I went to college, I stopped gaming. But man, all my like growing up, bro, all I did was play video games, bro. Like I remember
Facts.
playing Mario Kart. Yo, you going crazy? Mario Kart, Super Mario
Super
Bros,
Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers, yeah, bro. Bro, all the Dragon Ball Z games, bro. The Naruto games, the old
Yeah.
Maddens, bro. I
It's
used to
so
be
cool
going
that
crazy.
my little brother's 10 and he's playing all the same games that I played, the One Pieces, the Narutos, the Dragon Ball Z's.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, I would have to say he beat me for the first time in 2K, but I'm about to get my revenge. Don't you worry. Us Thomases, we don't lose twice. We don't lose twice.
Yeah, yeah, that's what's up, man. So you always kind of had like that mindset, and you said you played football. So high school, what
Hmm.
was that like? 'Cause so did the business mindset evolve, or did it kind of get swept under the rug for a little bit? What was it like in high school? Did you keep, let that flourish and grow, or did you lose it for a
Yeah.
little bit?
For sure, that's a good question, bro. So I went to high school out in Texas, and if you know anything about Texas football,
Yeah,
we live, eat, breathe football in the state of Texas. So I played football at Spring High School, 6A school, 3,500 students. Not only did I play football, but I worked my freshman, sophomore year. I worked at Kroger, which is a grocery store for some of those who may not know. And then my junior and senior year, I worked at J.C. Penney. So I
Damn.
graduated college. I graduated high school with a 4.6 GPA. Was
Damn.
number I was number I was number 69 in my class. No jokes on that. I was number 69 in my class, so did pretty well there on the academic side. Ended up getting a scholarship my senior year to go to Maryville College in Tennessee. I don't know if you can see, but I have a little small ring around my neck. That's where I won. That's where we won the championship in college. So just to answer your question, bro, I was still working, still getting experience. And I think for everybody listening,
Yeah.
try to make sure that you're going out there and you're getting experiences and you're working with people. A lot of people say, especially we don't like people, we don't like to talk to people, but honestly, and you can attest from this,
Yeah.
whether you're working for someone or you're starting your own business, people are going to be involved. You're going to have to solve people's problems. So if you learn how to interact, and I think that's what has helped me, just from conversations, relationship building, is that I've been around people for years, being on
Yeah.
sports teams, and then going to high school and working for all 4 years of my high school. So now whenever I'm speaking to people, I feel like I've been in situations before. I've been in awkward situations and know how to kind of smooth things out. And
Yeah.
that's just super important, bro. So I think that's important. Would you agree that like the communication and the soft skills is something that's important as well? Or
No, 100%. I feel like for me, I worked at a restaurant during the pandemic, and I just quit this past June in June 2023, and it was for me one of the at first most awkward experiences going to tables. 'Cause I started off as a busser, so I'm over here going to tables like, "Hey, are you done with your food?" And like awkwardly walking up to these tables, they over here enjoying their conversations with their families, right? They're talking to mid conversation, and I'm over here interrupting them mid meal. Some of them still got food in their mouth just to like take some of the dirty plates off their table. It's weird at first, bro, talking to people, and I was always
uh
pretty extroverted. But like, if people are already in mid conversation, I don't like to interrupt people's conversations. And so it's like
for sure.
it was one of those things. It took me a minute to get used to, and then from there, I started food running, and then in the kitchen, everyone speaks Spanish. So thank God I'm bilingual, but I wasn't like
Hmm.
fluent like that. You feel me? Like I can get by,
Yeah.
but like if you want to ask me about like my dreams, my life, and things I had going on, yeah, I don't know, man.
Hmm.
I could tell you a couple things in Spanish, but and keep the conversation going, but like have deep conversation with like the guys in the kitchen and like at high
Hmm.
speeds, because as you know, like working in some of these spots, like when it get busy, it gets moving, and you can talk to a lot of people a lot of time, bro. And so for me,
Man.
my communication skills they really first started to develop, and my soft skills. I used to do monologue for my church, and so that
Okay.
kinda got me into, like, speaking pretty early on, like, around 5th, 4th grade, and I caught one of the 2
Wow.
first place trophies, and then from there, in terms of working with people, I started playing sports around middle school, so I started off with baseball, and then from there, moved to basketball and football, and I ran with those 2, and then from
Hmm.
there, I caddied, but that was, like, pretty I 4 caddied, so I was always away from the group. It was kinda isolated. It was good money, though, very
I was about
calming
to
and
say it
peaceful,
had to
yeah.
be.
Caddying money is real good money. I would make, like, 160 as a sophomore, junior in high school, 160 in 5
Mm.
hours, paid cash right there in the spot, and, like and then go about my business, head back home, and I have my grandma, she cooked, I live in a Dominican household, so I get
Yeah.
home, food cooked for me, and enjoy the rest of my Saturday. I'll be done by, like, 2 o'clock. I'll come
So
in, like,
high
around
school,
8.
bro, what were you spending your money on? Cause I want to know after you. I'll go
Mm,
after you, but what were you
yeah,
spending your
so
money on? Cause you was banking in high school. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. 60 a day.
Bro, so I spent my money on, so I had to start paying my phone because my friends got me a phone. So I ain't have we didn't have money growing up like that. So my friends got me my first phone for my 16th birthday. So it was
Wow,
that,
they some
right,
real ones.
bro. OD, and paying for the bus and stuff like that to get to and from caddying. Um,
Hmm.
from there, some clothes, and honestly, probably a lot of it did go into like games. Not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie to you, a lot of it
Yeah.
went into my Xbox, but for the most part, that was pretty much because I was never really into clothes or design or anything. I'm still
Mm.
not, honestly. So I wasn't spending money much on clothes. It was more so just, you know, I remember I bought my first chain, bro. Yo, I bought my first chain for my birthday. The same birthday I got the phone, bro. We
Yeah.
was at the some like outlets. It's called a Palisades.
Mm.
It's New York, in New York. I remember I got the first chain, bro. I ain't know though. That freaking chain was dumb fake. And like I didn't realize till like 2 weeks after when it started turning brown. But like, yo, I
Oh
caught that
Lord.
joint, bro. I was in the mirror. I'm like, oh
You was
shoot.
rocking that thing every day.
Yes, sir. They had a little OVO owl. Yo, I was rocking that joint
Okay.
every day in school, bro. I was lit.
That's too funny, bro. That's too funny. I was the same way, man. But we was in Texas, so I ain't
Yeah.
gonna lie. In Texas, we was partying in like middle school.
All right,
So
damn.
once high school came, we were doing a little bit more partying. So money was spent on that. Money was definitely spent on fast food. I will say, can't even lie to you. But also shoes and things of that nature. But it was crazy. My dad, he told me to save 50% of my income that I was making in high school. I
Yeah.
didn't. I didn't, being honest. But looking back, bro, I really believe that if he would have told me not only just to do it, but why I should be doing it and the big benefit of doing it, like the pro of doing it,
Yeah.
but also I wish he would have told me the con and the downfall of not saving that money and where I could be when I get to college and not having, not having money to eat sometimes and not having, the different things that I didn't have in college due to not having the amount of money that I wanted to in that
Yeah.
early age. So I just think for everybody listening, you got to also think about the pros and the good things of doing what's behind me, this money activities, but you
Yeah.
also got to think about the cons and the negative of not doing the positive money, being responsible with your money and stuff like that.
No, 100%. I feel like one of the things that I'm so glad I learned a little earlier on, and not to say that I got into investing super quickly, but one of the concepts I learned was opportunity cost, bro. It's like, what else could I be
Yeah.
doing? Right. And a lot of people just factor the hard cost. Like, okay, this says $10, I'm spending $10. But it's also like, what could you have done with that $10? Or let's say you buy a ticket, $10 ticket to a concert, right? And you're at the concert's 2 hours. So now it's not just $10 you spent, it's $10 plus the what you could have spent the $10 on, plus the 2 hours that you're spending there. You feel me? Plus the
Exactly.
travel time. So now it's like the actual cost is way more than that little $10. So although you didn't spend much, you're
Mm,
spending a whole lot because of all the other costs that you're not factoring in. And it's like going to
100%.
college, bro. So for me, I still didn't. And I want to ask you too as well after this in terms of like when you start learning about money. But my first year
Mm-hmm.
in college was 2019 into 2020. And so when I was
Okay.
there, I had to get real scrappy because I was about 2 hours away, so I couldn't go home to Caddy. It wouldn't have made
Yeah.
sense. I would spend most of my money probably taking the train back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, I was in college, and I remember when my meal plan would run out, and there was no food to eat, I would find other people. And we had at UConn we had like swipes that we could use for, it was like it's called grab and go, and you had like a
Uh,
certain number of swipes that you can use at grab and go to get
for
like
sure.
wraps and sandwiches. And so whenever mine would run out, I had friends who I knew didn't use all their joints, and
Mm,
find them. And I was trying to make, and we had to get real scrappy. Me and my boy Isan, we was getting real
yeah.
scrappy in college to find food and make end meet. I used to work at a dining hall too. I had a work study, so like
Yeah.
sometimes they were blessed with the food. So I would pack like 2, 3 little bins of food, bro. But
Get
because
right.
we didn't have the money, we had to get real scrappy and think outside the box to try to make ends meet. We was in college,
Mm.
like that broke college student, like
It's
joke to
not a
everyone. Nah,
joke,
it's
bro.
real, bro. We was struggling out there.
Bro, that reminds me. We used to go to this Mexican restaurant
Yeah,
called Los Margaritas. We used to call it Los Margs. And bro, when I tell you they had free chips and queso, so I played safety, as I was telling you, I played
yeah.
safety, and me and another safety on the team, football player, we used to go, bro. We would get the free chips, the free queso, get the free water, and just leave like a $5 tip. But we would get full off the free stuff, and of course still leave a tip for the waiter. But man, we spending, $5 compared to 25 or 30 if we would have got a full meal. But we was chips and queso was busting. That free water,
Yeah, and then
we was
and
good.
I still remember that's again making you get real creative in college. I was in there coming up with some meals you ain't never heard of, bro, that you would never find in a recipe book. Like I was mixing stuff
Yeah.
together. I was cooking up, trying to make ends meet in college. So for me, the
Making it
pandemic is when
work.
I started to wake up, right? Because I was in online classes. This is not my sophomore year. I read Rich Dad
Mm-hmm.
Poor Dad, and that's how I started learning about money. Right, that's how I got serious about that, and then I started going on YouTube University and looking up
Yep.
everything I could on personal finance, credit cards. My second book I read
Mm.
was Intro to Index Funds for Dummies. And then
Okay.
that book
I
taught me a little
love
something. And the
index
third
fund
book I read was
ETFs.
I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And like once I
Mm-hmm.
read that book and he talked about like the Chase Sapphire preferred car and like points and miles, I was like, oh nah, like there's a whole game out there. I don't know nothing about. Like I gotta start tapping in because
Yeah.
there's people out there like really making the most of a lot of this personal finance stuff. And I'm over here like I don't know none of this stuff. And I'm in college paying tuition, not learning none of this
Yeah.
stuff. So like what was that epiphany for you where you kind of just woke up to the world and started like really getting into money and finance and what you got going on now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question, bro. And for me, I graduated during 2020, during COVID, and that's why, the book series is From College to COVID, because that's what really
Mhm.
happened. And so how I really got my full start, like I said, I was always business minded, business oriented, but I was writing my senior thesis over financial literacy after I tore my meniscus my senior year playing football. So this is 2019, and I was writing my senior thesis, telling everybody like, "Hey." And the thesis, for anybody who may not know, a thesis is like a research paper. So I was writing my senior research paper, and I was telling everybody I'm gonna write this research paper, get an A on it, and then turn it into a book, like for like teens and stuff to know
Yeah,
how to manage their money. I was telling everybody that. Then my cousin was like, "That's a good idea, bro, but I think you should start a podcast." And I was like,
yeah,
a podcast. So literally, I kept that a secret, and this is a gem for anybody else as well. Whenever you're about to release something, keep it a secret. Don't tell nobody why you working on it. Build it, work on it on the low, and then whenever you're ready, boom, pop out with it. So that's literally what I did, bro. This was September of 2019. Like I said, when I tore my meniscus, I started doing research on a podcast, how to start one. Started listening to other people's podcasts to see how I wanted to do mine, see
yeah,
what I liked, see what I didn't like, what I was going to stay away from. And then in April of 2020, I actually released my podcast on my birthday. Another gem. Release things on your birthday. Whenever, you know why? Because that's when people like you the most, on your birthday. People are going to support you more. So I released it. But getting to your question, bro, how I really started to learn about financial literacy was from the podcast.
yeah,
I interviewed my first season, I interviewed about 25 different guests. And you'll hear me compared to me now and in my third year, my first year, bro, I'm just strictly asking questions because I have no idea. A podcaster, they're supposed to ask questions and then provide value, provide some insight. In
yeah,
2020, I didn't have no value. I didn't
yeah,
have no I didn't have no insight. So I'm literally just asking questions, getting the answer, and then asking another question because I don't have no value to spill. But now you got to think about it. I've asked the questions. I've taken the questions and edited the interview because I still edit my own podcast. So I'm editing it, so I'm getting that information even more. Then I'm writing their biggest lessons down, and then I turn their biggest lessons into two books. So all of this information, I'm getting it, and the repetition, just like with sports,
yeah.
I'm getting my reps in. I'm getting my reps in, and now I'm not gonna say, well, honestly, I put in. You need your 10,000 hours to become an expert, and I put in more than 10,000 hours. So, humbly, I would say that I'm an expert. I'm certified to teach personal finance. So that's where everything really got my start, bro. 2019, started my podcast, interviewing these great guests, and actually not just learning the information, but applying and implementing the information that I learned.
No, 100%, man. And you mentioned a couple more gems that, aside from the first two, the first one you said, let your arrival be the announcement, right? Don't tell people that you're going to Cancun when you're on the flight. just pop out, bam, Cancun. Like, you feel me? Like,
Facts.
and that's what with your business, and that's one part where it can get hard because especially being that entrepreneur type, we put a lot of work into a lot of the things we got cooking up, and so it's like
Hmm.
as we start to make some progress, we get excited. We want to tell people, and that's something I struggle with myself. Is like I be sharing, and I don't share with the world, but like just with like my close circle. But even still, like sometimes you got to share too soon, and you count your eggs before they hatch, and then things don't go out as
Yeah.
planned, and then now now you feel bad, now you feel disappointed, embarrassed. You might feel a little ashamed because you was
Hmm.
telling X Y Z and it ain't play out the way. And I always say that God, we make plans and God laughs because we think we got it so figured out, right? We think we got everything drawn up to a T, like this is how exactly how it's gonna go, and then a little
Yeah.
twist happen in there, and boom, and the whole plan it takes a turn for the left, right? And so
Hmm.
uh, that's one of my first nugget, and then the second one you mentioned is too on your birthday. So this year, my birthday, I did a happy hour networking event for no reason other than why not? It's my birthday, and we
Yeah.
ended up we my friend, she's an event coordinator at the restaurant, and she was
Hmm.
like, the last one we planned for 35, or for 30, and we got 35. And this one, she was like, John, you sure you don't want to do 40? I was like, man, book me for 60. And she
Yeah.
was like, John, I'm gonna book you for 40. All right. We ended up getting 60 anyways, bro. We freaking that
Yes.
joint was lit. I had my boy with the drone come in. Another thing,
Yeah.
barter, right? You gotta barter, bro. If you
Hmm.
got someone who does something that you need help with and you can put them onto connections. So I'm licensed in real estate, but I don't focus on selling houses. I stopped over a year ago.
Hmm.
But I know mad heads in real estate from my time when I was focusing it. He does real estate
Gotcha.
videography and photography. So
With the
he be doing
drone, that's
yeah,
that's
and so he be
genius.
doing my events, the videography for my events, and I be putting them on to any and every realtor that I know. And so it's like find ways like that that you guys can help your people grow around you.
It's just like what you mentioned earlier, bro, with the value, what we mentioned with the value exchange.
Yeah,
Like you put out there to the world, hey, if you take me out to dinner, you take me out to brunch, I'll teach you everything I know about AI.
yeah,
And you had 5 people hit you up because it's a value exchange. So for everybody listening, I think where you can, the gem that you can take from that is if you build up enough value within yourself, then you can now kind of apply that to the world, and people will want to use you for that value. But you just got to make sure it's a win-win, and you're
yeah.
not getting used like John said, bartering, exchanging. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. And then the third gem I want to really highlight is that you started a podcast and you was just asking people questions. This is like the best gem on the planet, bro. Podcasting is so underrated, yo. It is
Facts.
literally free one-on-one coaching. So it's like you can literally there's no other like industry where like you're actually better when you don't know anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you don't know anything, you're just coming from curiosity and like you're asking these
Facts.
crazy questions and these deep questions because like you genuinely don't know nothing. So you trying to
Mm-hmm.
like learn and soak up all the information and you asking these
Yeah.
questions then brings out better responses from the people you're interviewing and then people get to hear that. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're in a state where it's like as you get more into podcasting, it's kind of that balance between providing that insight as well, but like also maintaining like that childlike curiosity from back when you didn't know anything, because that's when you ask the most thought provoking questions. And like I always tell
Facts.
people, if you want to do something, just go start a podcast, like a camera, like you have a laptop it's built in, and you have headphones, right? You can use that as a mic. Hop on a Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
It's free for 40 minutes, so you can hop on a 30-minute interviews on Zoom, and then you can
Literally.
upload that to YouTube for free. Send them the raw file so they can clip up the footage they need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's your quote unquote podcast. But in reality, you just want to interview 10 people in your industry to figure out whether or not that's something you want to do or not, right? And then go from there. So you said
Yeah.
something about putting in the 10,000 hours in and getting into, for the financial literacy. So let's talk about it now. So you're going around to colleges, to campuses, you're teaching students and people of all different ages about money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what makes your approach different? Like, how do you find your zone in a spot that everybody's kind of in? Everybody's talking about money now. Money's like the thing that everyone is just like everyone wants to be in the personal finance space. So, like, how do you find your unique zone that
Yeah.
allow you to thrive and flourish?
That's a great question, bro. And I think about this because I'm real big into longevity.
Yeah.
Right now, I think my youth definitely helps me, but I have to take it further than my youth because I'm not going to be a youth forever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I want to make sure that I'm around for a long time. So I really focus on the the connectedness with the audience. I really focus on making it a conversation. Whenever I was watching something on YouTube University, and the speaker said, you make it, whenever you're speaking to an audience, you make it one big conversation, like you're having one big conversation with a lot of people. When I heard that, things instantly changed for me. So now I'm not talking at students. I'm not lecturing them. I'm talking with them. And it's a one big conversation. Now everybody feels like they're involved. So that's one of the things that I try to make sure that I do, but also the energy, bro. I bring the energy because as I was telling you when we were talking, the only two times that I don't think or that I act just off instinct is when I was playing running back in college and when I'm up there speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
So it's just natural energy. They feel it. It's authentic. So I think that's what really separates me from, my counterparts is that I try to make it one big conversation, relating with them and wherever they're at, but also just being real with them and also letting them know, like I said earlier, the major pros, but also the cons. So I can't just come because the information is one thing, but if they're not walking away with actionable items and tools and resources that they can really use, your session was pointless.
Yeah.
So don't think that you're gonna have a 1 hour session with some students and they're gonna walk away with everything. That's not realistic. But what is realistic is you dropping one or two nuggets and some resources that they can use and that they can actually walk away with. And now they're going to remember you. Now they're going to remember you. So that's what I think kind of makes me different in this space, bro.
Yeah. So let me ask you too. Another question I wanted to ask you is because you started, you said about like 3 years ago, you started a podcast, you said, right? So you were
Mm-hmm.
22, which is about still technically college age, right? And you're
Yeah.
talking on money, right? And there's people out there who are billionaires, multi 9, 8 figure entrepreneurs, right? And you're talking on the topic of money. Did imposter
Mm-hmm.
syndrome ever creep up on you? And if so, what was that like? What did you do? Because it's something, at least for me, I dealt with. Because I was teaching
Yeah.
realtors to start off on social media, and I wasn't a social media expert. I'm just a third of the age of most average realtors. But like most of these people were selling
Yeah.
houses. Like I had people who were millionaire real estate agents on my calls to come watch me speak on social media on my webinars, and like I ain't never sell a house. And so it's like it took me a
Yeah.
minute one to realize I had imposter syndrome. Because for me, I ain't feel like I wasn't deserving of it because I knew that I put time into those presentations. I put a lot of work, but like a part of me felt like I
For
couldn't
sure.
charge because I wasn't selling houses, but they weren't coming to me for how to sell houses. They were coming to me because I understood social media, and it took me a while to realize
Mm-hmm.
I had imposter syndrome because I'm very optimistic and positive. So I was never like, oh, I suck,
Yeah.
oh, I can't do this. I think I could do anything, but it creeped up on me in another way
Uh-huh.
because I was doing everything for free. So it's like I wasn't charging what I should have been charging because I had that creeping in. So have you ever dealt with like something
Mm-hmm.
similar while you were starting to build this off the ground?
No, honestly, bro, as I said, I knew I wasn't that guy yet.
Yeah,
I knew I had the energy. I knew I could talk. But as far as money management, things of that nature, I was above average because I graduated college with a major in business marketing. I mean, a major in business management. I had a minor in accounting and finances. So I knew I had above average financial intelligence, but I wasn't an expert like the
yeah,
people that I was interviewing. So I use their expertise to really learn, like you said, the direct one-on-one coaching. So
yeah,
that's what I use. Then I'm putting in the extra hours. Like I said, I'm editing the videos, I'm taking the lessons and putting into a book. So I'm doing all these different things and I'm slowly becoming an expert. And the thing is, I became more confident with the information. When I was in school and I was presenting, I was a terrible presenter because I didn't know the information. staring at the PowerPoint, trying to read off the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? I wasn't as confident with the information, but as I got more confident with financial literacy, with investing, with credit, with all these different aspects of financial education, I became more confident. Became my delivery became better. So it's just putting those reps in, and you don't have to feel like an imposter whenever you put in the work. If you
Yeah.
put in the work, then you deserve to be in that position that you're at. Now, if you didn't put in the work and it just happened for you magically, congratulations, you're a 1 or 2 percenter. But that doesn't happen for everybody. 98% of us, we're gonna have to put the work in. We're gonna have to do the free and volunteer workshops and the free and volunteer not charge in the beginning, and then we're gonna have to grow. We're gonna have to grow. We're gonna have to network and meet people and continue to grow and become valuable. And once we put enough value within ourselves, then we can provide value and provide transformation for people, and
Yeah.
we should be paid for that.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm not sure if you ever heard this quote, but you reminded me of it. Is eventually, if you stick with something long enough, eventually determination starts to look like talent. And a lot of
I
people
like
don't
that.
don't realize, like, it's not that we were, that guy, right? It's just that, man, there's a whole lot of work that behind closed doors, behind the scenes that was going on, that no one ever realized. And that's also part of the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I started this podcast as well. It's called Walk 12, right? And so, like, for me, I don't want no one to say that, oh, I popped off and I got an airhead now. I think I'm too good for everybody. It's like, bro, you should have listening to episode 1 of my podcast when I was still talking about, where I was at and sharing, the journey. And like dudes wasn't
Facts.
tapping in, dudes wasn't supporting. And then like as you catching steam, as you start getting a little bit more gigs and stuff like that, your name becomes a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more of a household name. Then it's like, oh, John, it's like, man, I mean, I'm not at that stage yet. I know it's going to come, is because it's inevitable. It happens to everybody,
For
especially
sure.
once you start, succeeding at a high level. But
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where it's like, it reminds me of another quote, like, to much is given, much is required, right? So if you have those
100%.
aspirations, right, you got to know what's to come with it, right? So Mike Tyson said, like, to those that are highly favored in God's eyes, you're also highly favored in the devil's eyes as well, right? Because you could be
Mm.
used to make an impact for evil. So it's like knowing that, you making sure you stay steadfast and stay on the right
Yeah.
side of things. You feel me? And so I love what you said, man. And to kind of start asking, I know you mentioned in high school you were spending money on like shoes and partying and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where does your money go? How do you organize things now? What's the biggest changes that you've made now than
Mm-hmm.
you weren't doing way back when?
Great question, bro. You on it for sure. So for me, I've literally just changed the order that I'm doing things.
Okay.
So instead of getting my paycheck when I was in high school, get paid on a Friday, go get the fresh haircut, go to the mall, buy some forces, go to the movies. Instead of doing that as soon as I get my paycheck and not having that paycheck on Sunday after I just got it on Friday, what I do now is I set up automatic investing. I set up automatic saving. I know and understand my bills. So whenever I get paid, I'm allocating that money to the everything that I should be doing so I can do everything that I want to do after.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel bad. I don't feel it's kind of so the actual term for it is called lifestyle budgeting. So
Mm-hmm.
this type of budget works for my lifestyle. I know my fixed expenses for everybody. A fixed expense is what you're gonna pay regardless each month. So I understand my fixed expenses. Then I give myself a buffer of just in case something crazy happens, just in case, I spend a little bit more money here, that's fine because I have a buffer. And then everything after that is spendable income. So it feels good to have money that I can just spend freely without worry because I know I have my investing taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I have my savings taken care of. I have my business expenses taken care of already in the beginning of the month. So everything left over is just turn up, do whatever you want type money, and
Yeah.
that feels good. So it's just switching the order, bro.
Yeah, no, that's dope advice. I feel like but everything you have to find something that fits your lifestyle. And I'm a related to dieting, right? I
Mm-hmm.
hate diets. I hate the idea of someone telling me what I can and cannot do.
The
And because like
restriction.
diets, I've never been a fan of. I'm not. I mean, I'm in great shape. I always played sports, so I never really had to quote unquote diet. But I
Mm-hmm.
always ate pretty healthy. And for me, I found out intermittent fasting. It's like I could still eat, a brownie. I just gotta wait till 2 in the afternoon to eat it. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that's fine with me because that fits my lifestyle. I remember I was in college and I got into an argument with this nutritionist major, and she was
Yeah.
so convinced because she read in her textbook that if you gotta eat 6 meals a day at these given time points and smaller portion meals, and I'm like, bro, you so lucky I'm not as well studied on intermittent fasting as you are on nutrition, because I would body
Yeah.
you in a conversation if I came prepared, right? She
Yeah.
said she came like fresh out of nutrition class, coming at me talking about
Ready
nutrition,
for
and,
you.
and I was like, bro, man, you so lucky. But it's the same thing with budgeting, right? What fits your lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
right? What are things? It's not that these people who are hyper disciplined have more willpower, is that they just build their life around ways to make themselves easier and more efficient. Like if the
Yes.
gym
And
is across
sustainable.
town, like you're not gonna go to the gym. If it's across the street, it's gonna make your life easier. So how can you budget it around your lifestyle, not diet around your lifestyle, live around your
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, right? In a way so that you can continue enjoying life, but also be responsible as well and
Yeah.
handle your business, and right. And so, man,
But can I add something to that just real quick,
yeah,
bro? So I think also we have to realize, because what will, just for your example, what will make someone go to that gym across town is having that overarching goal or that overarching why, as they like to call it,
yeah,
understanding your why. So I think, and I'll give it just a small example. So I really picked up on the gym before 2 months, 2 months before FinCon came, a financial conference that John and I met at. I picked up heavily on the gym because I spoke at the conference. So I'm like, I'm finna be up in front of everybody. Everybody finna be seeing me. So I gotta look a little stout up there.
yeah,
So I picked it up heavily because I knew I was gonna be up there. So that really made me understand. That small example made me understand, like, man, if people can just find their why for anything that they want to do in life, whether it's a huge goal, a small goal, but if you have that overarching goal, you have that overarching theme that's more important than your excuses or the things that's going on in your life, you will go above and beyond and do those great things that you want to do. So if everybody here can find their why, and it doesn't have to be for you, my why, me and my little brother are going to a boxing, and that's why I'm bringing this up. At 6 p.m. today, me and my little brother are driving 30 minutes to go to Mayweather Fitness, and we're going to do a little boxing class. But I'm doing that because, one, I want to get in better shape with my cardio, because my knee, since I tore my meniscus, I can't do sprints outside on the concrete anymore because it tears my knee up. So
yeah,
like I need something different for cardio. So I'm doing that for one, but for two, my little brother's 10 and he's gonna be phenomenal at football. But he gotta know how to fight.
yeah,
He gotta know how to fight, because them football fights that I had in football, and just being just being like a star, and I know he's gonna be a star, so people are gonna try him. So
yeah,
he's gonna, and the thing that I've realized is people are gonna try you once, and if you show them that you ain't the one to mess with,
yeah,
people will never mess with you again. So I want to make sure that when my brother gets in that situation, he's ready to handle himself. So that's why I'm driving 30 minutes out my way, 6 p.m. during traffic, for that specific reason. So just wanted
yeah,
everybody to kind of understand, find your specific why, whether it's for you, your family, for anybody else. Once you find your why, I promise you, you'll get into that mindset of I'm finna get this done regardless of what happened.
yeah. It reminds me of two quick quotes, man. The first is to he who has a why, he can endure any how. Right, the how doesn't matter anymore when you find your why.
Mm,
And then the second one is it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener at war. Right. So
come on.
teach him how to fight now, man. So he ready for whatever. He might never need it, but It's always good to know, got that in your back sleeve just in case, man. Whatever happens, man. But Hassan, man, it's been a pleasure
Big
talking to you,
facts.
man. Where can we find you at? Where can we connect with you to keep up with all the amazing things you got popping off, and start getting you up here in the Northeast?
Most definitely, bro. Y'all gotta get me up there in the summer, man. I told you I can't do that cold. But y'all can definitely find me on Instagram at FYIFLI. So the company is called FYI Fly, and it stands for your information, financial literacy, and investing. So instead of a Y, it's an I. So you can
Yeah.
find me there on Instagram at FYIFLI. You can also find me at CEO Sani. So it's CEOSANNI. And I'm going to throw this out there as well. Please, 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 all my young folks, all my millennials, please make you a LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been so powerful for me connecting with people in my field, in my financial field, connecting people that I can network with. It's kind of like a business Facebook. So it's not just strictly business anymore. That was like 2 years ago. People on LinkedIn want to see that you have some type of personality, but they also want to see that you're business like. So follow me on LinkedIn at Hassan Thomas. It's HASSAN, last name Thomas. You can follow me on there. We're also on TikTok for my young folks. We also on TikTok, FYI underscore FLI. And I just want to leave everybody with saying, please, please, please understand that one, in this world, you're going to have to be personable. You're going to have to be purposeful, but you're also going to have to be perseverant if you want to get to where you want to go. So definitely, definitely tap in. Thank you, John, for having me. This was
Yeah.
great.
Hold
And
on, it's time for a
just
rapid fire
tap
round. We
in
got to
with
go
me.
lightning fast though, because we're coming short on time.
Let's rock. Let's
All
rock.
right, 5 quick questions. Question number one: what is the most impactful lesson you've learned in life?
Most impactful lesson my dad has taught me is to always have options. The best option is to have options.
Second, what is the most admirable trait a person could have?
The most admirable trait a person could have, and shout out to my co-host, he is the most reliable person I've ever met in my life. That is the best trait somebody can have, is to be reliable and to tell the truth. Hate liars.
Yeah. If you had to change someone's life with one book, which one would you recommend?
From college to COVID, 24 lessons learned during the lockdown.
Okay.
Shameless plug of
What
mine.
what is the legacy that you're trying to leave behind?
The legacy that I want to leave behind is that I was a man that made impact. I was a man that made income, and I was a man that had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. And last question, man. For anyone that wants to embark on their walk to wealth today, what is the first step you recommend they take?
The first step is just to get educated. I feel like whenever we don't know something, we fear it. So if we can become educated on it, and whether that's podcasts, whether that's books, whether that's starting your own podcast and talking and gaining free one-on-one coaching, free mentor from your podcast guests, start somewhere, because whenever we're learning about money, whenever we're learning about financial education, it's not like learning about the mitochondrion and it is science. Like we're learning about something that we can actually. I'm sorry to the chemists and stuff, but we're learning about something that we can actually use in real life that impacts us. Because whether we're gonna work our own business or we're gonna work for somebody else's business, we're gonna receive a paycheck, and we have to know how to manage that paycheck.
100, man. Hassan, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks again, my brother.
Yes, sir.